kicking down all the doors, guarantee you, boy, if I ask for it, it's gotta be real big. I gotta make it just for my kids and for their kids' kids. That's wealth years and years. Promise my brother soon as he out and finish this bid, we finna do it bigger than anybody ever did. The odds is real big, jobs that's real big. Satan trying a little, my God is real big. Stayed up on the grind on the cars is real big. I gotta do it big, the only way that I can live. And I promise I'm trying to. Before you count me out, homie, let me remind you, they was blocking the shine. Now I think it's my time to. Counting them dollar signs like lights, they'll blind you. Let me rewind to back when I was broke and I couldn't acquire 2 cents, and now I got 2 rents. They was sleeping on me, homie, must have got too big. Call my phone, I be like, who this? Damn right, hell yeah, I'm brand new. Smell like can too. I'm fresh forever like canned food. Try and tell me what I can't do.
Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. We are definitely in the place to be tonight. Thank y'all for tuning in for another episode of TK's Chronicles of a Black Sheep. Appreciate it. Always all the support. Of course, I have my pain in the butts in my life. My wonderful co-host, Nika Pinks.
Talking about you, Nika.
You know what? Devil's advocate, need I say more?
Hey, did my chair make me look short? I feel like I'm strong.
You like 7 foot. How you gonna look like?
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like I look like a midget. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Never mind.
Let's introduce our guest. Drums, please.
Yes, our guest for tonight. We're actually gonna have Nika Pinks do the introduction tonight of our guest.
Oh, good. Now, y'all know better tend to let me do stuff like this because I always go
long-winded and your internet. Go ahead.
Look, it's good. So far, we good. We ready tonight. So tonight, we will be talking about social media, gaming, and mental health. And we have Miss Latasha Teamer.
Yes. Welcome. You know,
how you gonna do that like that?
He don't have no home training.
He was talking about how he was looking small on here, and I feel like I'm looking real big. Looks like I'm all in the ceiling. So
she gonna say we have Miss Latasha. She didn't say nothing about what you do, how you do.
Look, I was gonna let. Look, she has a lot of letters behind her name. And we gonna let her explain those.
Okay, go ahead then. Go ahead. Do it over.
We can do that, right? Because not everybody knows what those letters stand for. So we can let her talk about those titles.
I started reading out like I had to go Google. Like, what is that? Oh, okay. So okay, go ahead.
That's how we're gonna do that. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, so Latasha, can you please introduce yourself and tell us what it is that you do?
Yes. Well, first, thank y'all for allowing me the opportunity to be on here with y'all tonight. I sincerely do appreciate it. So I am a licensed mental health counselor. So I have 2 licenses, one in just professional counseling and then marriage and family therapy. I am the owner and clinical director of Hope Youth and Family Development. We just do counseling, educational services for children, adolescents, families, married couples, adults. We kind of run the whole gamut. And so we just kind of want to heal a hurting world. And so that's kind of what we do. It is my joy. And so I'm blessed to have the opportunity to really be able to do what I do.
Yes, and I love that because you said in this world, because we got a lot going on.
It's a lot.
It's very much, put your hand down. It's very much of a lot, especially now where people are in that mode of they're trying to heal and the breaking generational curses. Woo. Yeah, that right there make you drink. That make you want to be alcoholic. So it is a lot going on, agreed. And I definitely thank you for taking this place because that is not for the weak. It's a lot. A lot of people have a lot of childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And it is not for the weak.
So where are you located?
So our headquarters, our offices are located off of Jones Maltzberger. So close by like 1604, 281 area. We have a couple of different locations also. I go into schools personally. My passion is, of course, to work with children. I used to be an elementary school teacher, and so I love being back on the places that I started. But our office is off of Jones Maltzberger, but there's a couple of different places that we go to. I also offer equine therapy, and so I'm out with the horses and stuff too. And so I say,
oh yes, equestrian therapy. I'm actually trying to get my son into that.
Yes. We have a place out in Converse.
Yes.
So everybody who doesn't know, every place that she's mentioning is in San Antonio, Texas.
Yes.
So I know, yeah. So y'all finna go play with horses. Right on.
No. Horses is actually a great therapy, even for kids with autism. That's why I had done the research on that. There's a place that we were waiting to hear back from to start Asante's equestrian therapy.
Okay.
And it's actually been about 4 months, but I ain't going.
You know, the need is great nowadays. The need is definitely great nowadays. And so to find somewhere where you don't have a wait that's right there is that's slim pickings.
Yeah.
Y'all
definitely.
So if y'all ain't got enough horses, that's a problem.
You know what? We
gonna sign him up with somebody after the show because he needs some help. We gonna do this referral as a family.
Goodness, oh, Jesus! All right, so going into the social media, the gaming, and the mental health, how are these connected?
Well, I mean, I think that especially right now, social media and gaming is extremely huge in our society right now. And so I think we have to pay special and close attention to the things that people turn to the most. And right now that is media and social media and gaming. And so, you know, what we are learning is not only does it have negative effects to our mental health, but used the right way, it can definitely enhance our mental health. And so I definitely don't want to sit here and have this conversation like social media and gaming is all bad, because it's not. It's really being able to utilize it in the way that most benefits you, and utilizing it correctly, because there's a lot of dangers out there as well. And but what we are seeing, especially when it comes to people who already have, whether diagnosed or undiagnosed, mental health concerns, it really does exacerbate it.
Yes. That most definitely. I know one of the things we were talking about before we started was one of the most popular games that our kids play is Roblox. Roblox is actually probably one of the worst games a kid can play because there's a lot of sexual things on Roblox. There's the rooms, there's the stuff that comes on YouTube where they're actually showing Roblox people, if you want to call them, in actual sexual positions. How can this negatively impact our kids?
Well, I mean, it normalizes it, right? Like it makes it normal. And so if this is a popular kids game that everybody is playing and they're being exposed to sexual material at such a young age, again, it makes it okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm seeing it on this game that my parents let me play. So this must be okay.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot of human trafficking be done through different games and stuff like that. Just because, one, I don't know that a lot of parents are really well versed and knowledgeable in all of the things and all of the different categories that kids can utilize Roblox for. And so again, not all bad, but if it's not monitored well.
I think that comes from. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I think that comes from the mindset of letting electronics babysit your kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, it's a great babysitter. It absolutely is. But just like we would vet any other adult babysitter, what are we really doing to vet electronics if it's going to babysit our kids?
Definitely, because we know you gotta inspect the folks that you let watch your kids. You can't let everybody watch your kids no more, because like I think we've seen how many cases of child abuse this week in San Antonio, about 3 different cases that popped up that were pretty much found out also, like between like school and somebody picking up the phone and hey, like it's really real out in these streets, like for real. And there's like a whole different level of safety. Like we have, as parents, we have to now take that safety up a couple of more notches, because I mean, we already know from back in the day, you know, we had them uncles and some of them cousins that, you know, was in that back room, back yonders, that definitely didn't need to be around the children. So there's a whole different level. You just really can't trust who you leave your kids to. You just can't.
So we talking about social media and mental health. But you just said that it can be a good babysitter. However, I guess you could say studies of people. It's been shown that with social media, it gives kids a false sense of being, a false false image of themselves, how they supposed to look, how stuff like that. And how do you combat that with everything that's being pushed?
Well, I think it's hard, right? You know, especially because even me as an adult, and I know that images are doctored, I know that they're manipulated, but I can be on social media, I can see all of these things, and me and my grown adult self can still get to that space where I start to feel insecure.
Yeah.
With all of the knowledge that I have, with my prefrontal cortex fully developed, and we're expecting kids to be able to make these same comparisons and connections when they're not hardwired at that age to be able to do so. And so it's important to really let kids know that it really does enhance this unrealistic expectation of what reality really is, that people really are only posting their highlights. But kids naturally give in to that envy. And we think about kids, peer relations are the most important relations to them. And so when I see my friends doing it, I don't understand why I can't live that life.
Yeah. Even
if in reality, they know that a person's life is raggedy. But if I see it online and it looks good and it gets enough likes, I completely forget about their raggedy reality. And now I'm really looking at their unrealistic social media presence.
Yeah.
And I'm desiring that life.
Yeah. You are right. And Derek, because just like you said, there are adults that can't handle social media. There's adults that see their friend and they like you said, showing the good life. They showing them shopping here and shopping there, and they're sitting at home wondering, well, I like to go shopping. Why can't I go shopping? Why is this person look blessed? But like you said, they're just showing the highlights. They ain't showing the little down moments and what the struggles and stuff are. So a lot of people are just looking like, oh man, they so blessed. They got this and that don't be the case. So a lot of folks right now are income tax balling.
You said it. You said it. And I think what we're also doing is, and it's not funny, but I think we say it a lot, is we're raising a lot of little narcissists because we are so self-focused. And what can I do to enhance the view of me? And so we think about how we naturally communicate, and naturally 40% of our conversations are about ourselves. But when we look online, that number doubles to 80%. And so we wonder why kids are less empathetic. How much time are they spending posting me, enhancing me?
Yeah.
I think also that's not the only problem. I think also what adds to that is the fact that again, like I said earlier, these kids are being raised by social media and gaming, which does not show emotions, which does not show feelings. So, of course, they're going to be hardwired like their phones, their game systems and stuff. So if something happens, it's going to be just like okay, and move on. Versus like, dang, my friend got sick and whatever. He's like, okay, and just move on.
Yeah. It disconnects them from real life.
Anti-social media.
To an extent.
And I agree with that, because I know, like, my son does therapy. One of the things that he always comes back around to when he does therapy with him is he even in the day-to-day, he asks something about empathy. What are you what are you grateful for? Because I think now in this generation, the kids have such a sense of entitlement that you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to buy them games, they're supposed to have this, they're supposed to have that, and they tend not to be grateful for the things, like, us back in the day, the little things meant so much, a lot. You got a pair of socks, you were thankful for that pair of socks. You give a kid a pair of socks now, and they looking like, I want no dang on socks, So even as we've come through this pandemic, still kind of going through, like, for me, it's so many things to be thankful for, because we've had so much loss during this time. So it's like remembering to teach your child to be empathetic to the things that other people are going through, being thankful and grateful for the things that you do have, because there's some people missing meals. I don't know, like Nika Pinks, Latasha, you're in San Antonio as well. Our homeless population is bananas right now. Like it seems like it's a constant growth or increase in the homeless population. Like, I've never seen it so crazy as it is now. And I know with the way that myself and Nika Pinks are, that's one of our soft hearts. So it's like, hey, we trying to take care of our family right now as well. But then you see the homeless population, and you want to give, give to them as well and help out, even if it's a bottle of water or whatever. But I think that is something that definitely needs to be pushed in these kids' lives, is like you said, empathy, because they don't be caring. That's like the last thought. Like, what's that? So yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You put up that church finger.
With the church finger.
Yeah.
I was about to say that's kind of sort of our fault. And here's why I say that. If you look at in the last about 20 something years ago, we was a society of everybody wins, doesn't matter what you do, how you do it, you get a trophy, you get this, you get that, as long as you sit there and show up or whatever. I feel that this is the ramifications of that type of society. All these kids feel entitled, like, I'm here, I'm the kid, you supposed to do this for me, you supposed to do that for me. It doesn't matter what I do, it's what you supposed to do for me. And if you don't, you're not fulfilling your obligation as a parent, versus being appreciative of the fact that, hey, my mom and dad are doing this because of they have to, or not because they have to, but because they love me versus because they have to. And and it ties into social media because again, they're showing a picture of you got 16, well, I'm gonna go younger than that. You got 8, 9, 10-year-old kids getting all this stuff, but they're not, again, like you said, it's a highlight. They're just seeing over and over and over again, this kid got that, this kid got that, this kid got a new J's, this kid got that. And then you start looking at, well, damn, if they can get out, my parents don't love me, and then they throw that guilt trip out there, and we some suckers. I'm just saying, some suckers. And that guilt trip hit us in the gut, and we like, dang. So I got to go get this other job to go get this kid $700-800 shoes that he gonna wear 2 times, and then try to give it to his homeboy little Jimmy and start, So
first of all, you speaking French because you said we.
Right? I'm like, who doing that shit?
We ain't. Not this one.
See, y'all trying to front now because we got company.
No, I'm not. No, I ain't fronting.
What I'm saying, there is a pressure. There is a pressure to be able to keep up with what other parents are also doing, and I think for good reason, right? Because I know that bullying has become like this huge thing, and so I think sometimes when we're trying to keep up or have our kids kind of have some of the same thing as their friends, we're ultimately trying to think about their ultimate well-being. That's not always the most beneficial, but I know that there are certain parents that do that, really trying to think about their kids and their social standing.
Yeah. I can see that. Because I won't lie, Savannah will come home and try to apply the pressure. And I'll be like, girl, look, like the other day, she gonna tell me, they laugh at me because I got an Android. I'm like, girl, you got a phone. So you think I'm going to get you an iPhone because they laughing at you? You have a phone. I'm not doing that. The pressure is out there, and then they come home and they apply that to us and try to put that on us and stress us out because they don't have what the next parent has given their child. I'd be like,
baby, look here, we Android. Look here, we Android all day. You better be glad you have a phone. Because a lot of kids don't have no phone. And messing around with me, if I could get the government assisted phone, he'd be having that phone. You got a phone. Call Tyrone.
And be glad to stay on.
Man,
I gotta be quiet because they're coming after me. They done kick me out and everything.
I was trying. I had your back.
Okay, cool.
I saw that. Yeah,
they gonna come and get you.
Talking smack and was gone.
Yeah, I thought them people about to come get me. I said, "Oh shit!"
You know they do come get you though, so you know you behave. Yeah, but I do think, of course, that there's that level of trying to be included, to try to be the cool kid, to keep up with the Joneses. At the same time, the Joneses are struggling. They might got that iPhone, but their lights is off. And that's that reality that we need to, kind of be real with our kids. Okay, they might have
they ride around on 3 donuts,
but they shoes is talking. They ain't got no sole on their shoes. Like, I would point out the reality.
We have to think about how often do we see adults do that too?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
There it is.
Yes. You driving around in a Benz in your mama's house. And so really, really thinking about that, they get it from somewhere.
Yeah, there it is. Your car costs more than your apartment. First of all, why you in an apartment? I'm just saying. But anyway, that's another topic.
No, you right though. But I mean, you're right, and it, like I said, it's a social thing. It's about looking good in social life. But you struggling behind doors. Y'all ain't got food to eat, but all 6 of your kids got iPhones. I'm confused. And I've seen this working with children. I've seen it. I've seen the kids look, their hair ain't combed, hair broke off, clothes too little, shoes too small, but they got iPhones. Mama got Jordan's, hair done, nails done, matching with her boyfriend, but her kids look like they ought to be sitting up under the bridge, up under I-10 bridge. I'm confused. Priorities. And I think that in life is one of those things we need to teach children. Priorities.
Yeah. Well, and delayed gratification, because I want it right now. And if we think about how social media really plays into that, and if we look at it from a scientific standpoint, every time a kid gets a like, that's a dopamine hit. And so I haven't really done anything. And I get that dopamine hit. And so what are kids doing? They are not wanting to work as hard to get that same type of hit. And so when we ask them to do something hard, they're like, I'd rather get on my social media, because I can still get that feel good feeling without having to do much but move my thumbs.
Yeah. Oh, and it don't even have to be hard.
And it's not. It's immediate.
Yeah.
It's absolutely immediate.
Yep.
Definitely.
Since you took it there, I was gonna wait. Since you took it there, one of the things that I've read about social media and mental health, behavioral health, whatever, social media, like you said, increases the dopamines in folks' mind, which is interesting because if you look at TikTok, Instagram, and things of that nature, it's a quick hit. So it's almost like, it's like you hitting a drug and getting high every time you do it. And that's why I hear a lot of people say, when they, especially like with TikTok and Twitter, they said, I thought I was just on there for 5 minutes and they was on there for 5 hours.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because that high is there. And it was a question posed earlier by somebody. I don't know. Devontae. Was it Devontae? I don't know.
Yeah. He said this causes addiction.
Yes. Can it cause it? It's basically like you're addicted to social media.
Well, and to be honest, it's not even like it's basically, it is an addiction. And so there was a study that was done that asked some college students to go without social media for 24 hours. And at the end of the study, those particular students had withdrawal symptoms, the same type of withdrawal symptoms that we see in people recovering from drug and alcoholism. And so it is an addiction. How many people can't leave without their phones next to them? How many people have so many notifications going off that it is right at the tip of their tongue? And so, and thinking about when people are going through stressful stuff, they turn to social media, they turn to gaming just like they would to drugs and alcohol. But what I'm needing it to do is I need it to comfort me just like a drink would.
Ooh.
I need it to comfort me just like it would if I were to take a... And so it is addicting. It is a drug. And studies have shown it really does the same things to our brains that drug and alcohol do. And this is what we're feeding our kids day after day after day without supervision.
Ooh.
We're giving them drugs.
Yeah.
And making them dependent on it.
Yeah.
I was about to come back to that, right? But you took words right out of my mouth. And this is the stuff we're giving our kids.
Day after day. And wondering why their behavior is changing. Wondering why they don't want to be around nobody. Wondering why every time they stress, they pull up their phones.
Yeah. Because we used to be outside. We used to be on bikes. We used to be playing basketball. We used to run races in the streets. Try to get these kids to go run a race in the street. They looking at you. The first thing they're going to ask you is, why?
They don't know how to play no more.
What's wrong?
Don't know how to play.
Why?
Well, one reason why, because like everybody would be outside. That's the reason. You ain't care about what was on TV. Oh, Jimmy and Jane outside. Can I go outside? Nah.
Yeah.
Oh, you on? Hey, I'm finna get on Xbox or a PS5. Where you at? Like, damn, that's the new outside.
Yeah.
Wow. So I guess for some of us, like, how do we, I guess I can't say undo what's been done, but how do we try to reverse some of that? Like, how do we step in now and be like, okay, like, is it a cutback? Do we remove it? Like, how do we try to change that up now that they're already so deeply in social media and building these worlds outside of the one that they're in?
Well, so I don't think that the answer is just to completely take it away, because like I said at the very beginning, it's not all bad. But because I also think like confiscating and taking it away, really it could just further the problem. Or you're gonna have your kid hiding stuff and So I mean, there are some drawbacks to just kind of going cold turkey and be like, okay, you know what, give it to me. But I think that parents definitely need to monitor their kids' social media usage. Like what parental controls, like if you are a parent, what parental controls do you have in place to make sure that your child is doing what you expect for them to do? And are there any expectations? And so maybe let's start back that way, like communicating expectations. Because I know a lot of kids just have phones and they're like, and you know, because the majority of my work is done with kids, I ask kids all the time, you know, what's the expectations of you having a phone? Well, you know, I'm supposed to get off at 9:00. Okay, well, do you? No. Your parents don't check? Nope. And so, you know, if you're gonna have an expectation, make sure that you're gonna follow through with it too.
That part.
But you know, we pay for all of these other things. Why not pay for parental controls?
Yeah, you're right. And there are some apps that are on Android that are free apps that you can put the parent controls. You can have that phone locked down at 8:00, baby. You can cut everything off and they can't cut it back on because there's a code to it. I've had to do that before. Now we have that understanding, and he knows it's 7:00 is the cutoff time for all electronics. That's an hour before bed. Cutoff. Once all homework and everything is due, I give him about 2 hours during the week, depending what his therapy schedule and stuff is, and I want to have 2 hours. But after homework and everything else is done, we're not doing the game before homework. Weekends, hey, I'm a little more lax on weekends because we chilling. But during the week, no, that cutoff time, and it cuts off an hour before. And the phone has to be charged in the living room, not in the bedroom.
Well, and I've seen that too. We looked at some research, and this research was 3 years ago. So I can only imagine how much it's grown since COVID and everybody was at home. But 3 years ago, it was 44% of six-year-olds are going online in their bedrooms. And then we want to understand, well, why is childhood pornography, like why is it increasing and all of these different things? Well, how well are we monitoring?
Yeah.
What is the expectation in the home?
Yeah. Because I know, like,
sexting is a big thing. So, are your kids taking? Are they taking the phones in the closets, in the bathrooms, and stuff like that? We have kids at school sexting each other from different classrooms.
Yes,
and things aren't being monitored.
Yes, and the crazy thing about that is actually a Texas law. They can actually get in trouble for that. And I don't think parents know that either. Those unsolicited, unexpected messages that they're getting, they can that's a crime in Texas.
Yeah, child pornography.
Yeah. And on top of that, because sometimes them little age parameters on how the ages may fall, even for these older kids, like parents don't know that. We actually did an episode on that a couple of episodes back because people don't know that. So it's like you get caught and you got your phone at school and you get caught with that in your phone. Oh, baby, it's about to be a whole situation.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just ask, like, since we're here and talking about it, when it comes to privacy, because I hear these kids, my privacy, and parents are privacy, give them their privacy. I know when I was younger, I didn't really have that, with no closed doors, with no, all that stuff where you're not giving up phones, and there was no real privacy. So like, where is that limitation? Because I know some kids, parents take that's my privacy. And it's like, wait, what? You got that?
I tell kids and parents all the time, you pay for privacy. And even when you pay for it, you don't get full privacy. Mm-hmm. And so I often talk with parents about the difference between autonomy and privacy.
Yes.
Okay. There's a difference.
Yes.
Kids don't they don't need privacy.
Yep.
They need to be able to build autonomy in safe ways, but privacy and autonomy are not the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Their brains are developing. They need people to be in their spaces. Yes. Teaching them how to navigate life.
Yeah. And letting them know what's right and what's wrong. Because just because Devontae over here doing it don't mean it's right.
Yeah. And I tell parents all the time, there's no protection in privacy. Ooh. And so if you want to protect your child,
baby,
that idea of privacy is out the window.
Yeah.
You pay for privacy.
Yeah. Because there are a conversation that me and Nika had when we were talking about having this topic, is there was a girl in our neighborhood, and she had been on private on her phone, communicating in some of these little private chats that some of the other kids in the middle school was doing. Well, one of the people lured her out of her house 2-3 o'clock in the morning. This baby was gone for 2 weeks because she got in the car with somebody that she met with playing on these games. The thing is, I know the games. Games aren't just for kids, because there's some adults that's heavy into the games. But when they're on these games, it's adults on these games. All these games ain't kids just on these games. These adults play just as hard. You never know who your child is playing with on these PS4s, Xboxes, or whatever. So that protection, no privacy, because I sit in here in the cut with mine. I be in here. What do you say? What? Yeah, we don't talk like that. That be me in the background. I don't care if you got your headset. It is, because it needs to be checked. Like, if you hear how these kids on these games talk, it's kids on here cussing up a storm, and they 10 and under. The conversations that are had during a game, there are sexual conversations being had even on the game. They playing Fortnite, and it's sexual conversations going on while they're talking back and forth.
Right. Well, and I generally tell parents that a lot of times your kid is only asking for privacy when they're doing something wrong. Right? Like, if you're operating within the bounds that you are supposed to, or the boundaries that you're supposed to, a lot of times kids aren't asking for boundaries. I mean, they're not asking for privacy. And so, really being able to identify, why is my kid asking for it? And now there are, because there is a question in the chat about, shouldn't that be earned? And I think privacy should be taught. I don't know that earned. And I say that when I talk about, like, privacy should be taught. There are areas of our bodies that are private.
Yeah.
Those areas should be taught.
Yeah, definitely.
There are aspects of our lives that not everybody needs to know about. Those instances should be taught. Those should be private. But this right to your own space that you are telling nobody else that they get to enter into. And you live in my house and I pay those bills.
And I think that's what I think that's a context they were saying, is like, until it's just like you said, it got to be paid for. So they have to do something to earn that right to have. Can I trust you enough to Like, okay, I'm not going to enter your room because I know you're not doing nothing silly, nothing crazy. But the moment you do, I'm taking the doors off the hinges, taking all the curtains out, blinds, everything.
Yeah.
So I could see that.
Yes, most definitely. And so, like, you know, I have a 12-year-old daughter that is beginning to develop. Don't you walk out this house, you know, don't just walk out the bathroom after you done take a shower, you know, everybody's seeing your stuff. Not, you got the right to privacy in that regard.
Yeah.
Right.
But, you know, but again, I also think that we oversimplify that idea. And we just, well, you know what, because kids need their privacy. You know, they're growing, they're developing, they're
That's I think that's a lot of one, like something that was said earlier. I think that's a lot of fear coming from how we grew up as people coming through. So we're portraying or transferring how we felt as a child onto our child. So that's why I think a lot of folks are like, I'm gonna give my child privacy because I never had privacy, or I couldn't do that. And I hate to say it like this, but you see how I tell people all the time, like, you see how many mistakes you made, and they had you in the iron grip. So it's not about privacy; it's still about you still learning how to be a parent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we have to think about level of exposure.
You're right. No, yeah. Oh, that's a whole other conversation.
So when we talk about social media and gaming, all that is doing is heightening our kids' level of exposure to stuff that it's not age appropriate, they're not developmentally ready for. And so I can't give you privacy in that space.
Right.
Yeah. You are definitely right with that one. Definitely right with that one. Woo! Yeah, definitely. But like I said, especially with the game, there's so many different ages on these games, and you don't necessarily know until they start having that conversation. Well, how old are you? Well, hey, we don't get no personal information around here. Hey, your name is what your username is. That's it. We don't do real names and ages. That's too much information. Because, you know, kids get to talking. Hey, that's my friend. No. Yeah. No, it's not. So yeah, you're right. That's a totally different level of exposure. Definitely.
I wouldn't be me if I wouldn't do this.
Yeah, we know.
But we're focusing on gaming and social media and everything. But you could turn on the TV and see everything that you see in the games and on social media.
Definitely. And that's why those things are supposed to be monitored. Like, if there's no supervision, even when you're having conversations, like, you know, that, like, back in the day, think about it. When mama and them had company over there, where your butt was supposed to go?
That away.
You was going in the room because it's grown folks conversation, and kids ain't supposed to be in grown folks conversations. Now these kids is all up in the grown folks conversations. They included. They know what this. Mama didn't rob the hair store. She shoplifting from them. They telling everything, because I hear a little bit of everything at the job. Like, oh,
I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about how we just found out the secret sexual innuendos in Disney movies. Shit like that. Yeah.
Very.
And so, like, we grew up on that, and we're allowing our kids to see that and continue to basically feed that instant gratification. I ain't gonna say instant gratification. That curiosity. That's the word.
Yeah. Well, and so I tell parents all the time, one of the things that's important is really being able to identify, are you checking what your kids are looking at? There are age ratings on every show, and every movie. And how many parents, you know, I'll ask parents, you know, have you been on Common Sense Media? And they're like, what is that?
Right.
And so really being able to say, okay, before I allow you to watch certain things, or I'm watching certain things with you, so as things come up, I'm able to now educate you on some of that stuff.
Yes.
I'm able to share with you what our family values are, what our norms are, what our morals are. And so a lot of times TV, just like social media, just like gaming, becomes a babysitter. And we're not sitting with our kids as they're watching stuff. And so they begin to draw conclusions on their own. And a lot of their conclusions are inaccurate, incomplete, or faulty.
Very.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
Or
and so I know realistically, like, we can't watch every show before our kids, but how often are we watching shows with our kids to be able to explain things as they go?
Yeah.
Because I know a while back I had a friend and I had ended up going over her house one night. And, you know, sometimes people, you know, kids had the cartoons on, like you said, the parents aren't paying attention. And I'm walking by and I'm like, you let your baby watch Adult Swim?
Oh,
cartoons. No, you need to. This ain't girl. That ain't.
Yeah, that ain't cartoon.
So she thinking that it's just something that, you know, it's cartoons. She never tapped in to see what her kids were actually watching.
On the
borderline softcore porn sometimes.
Oh, just FYI, I'm not the friend she's talking about. Let's FYI, I'm not the friend she was talking about. It ain't me. It ain't me.
Ma'am, this will see. I know it's progressed over the years, but about 10, 11 years, it wasn't as, but still, this was back in that time. And even still, it was getting to the point where they were making those conversations and saying little stuff. And you like, you might want to watch that. You know, and it was coming on earlier. It wasn't late night like it is now. But it was about 8 o'clock, 9-ish. And, you know, when the little letters were at the bottom of the screen that said Adult Swim, and it looked like regular conversations, regular characters, till you sit down and tap in and know, like, oh, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. What is he doing with that box? What is he doing with that?
Tap out.
Oh, hell no.
But even still, even with that, like I say, you have to watch, because there's conversations even on SpongeBob that's been inappropriate. Oh my God, we had to ban SpongeBob over here because I'm sitting there one day and they talking about sneaking in windows and dropping underwear. I'm like, whoa, heck, nope. You gotta go.
We're gonna go there.
Yeah.
If we're gonna go there, Disney. Tom and Jerry.
Yeah. I mean,
our cartoons did too.
Disney Channel, chick up there and the girl and the boy kissing all and making out on Disney.
On Disney, that's a lot of that.
Yeah, like now they super grown. They teaching you how to date and what to do. And I'm like, whoa, what happened to this? Like Disney, like what happened? Because this a little much. Y'all teaching the kids how to be out here and be thotting out here in these streets. Y'all trying to raise some hoes and little heathens over here. Because there's no limit. They just pushing it. And it's just very much of adult. There's no children TV really on Disney anymore. What's that Simple Life and all that other? Like, what in there? Like, yeah, we don't watch Disney around here no more. no Disney.
Miss T, I got a question. What? Shut up. What schools? What area of the? What schools do you go into? I'm gonna just Is it like middle class, private school, low income, whatever?
So the schools that I'm in right now are Title I schools.
What does that mean?
What that mean? Because you went.
I was about to hit Google on the cool.
She said, wait, title.
Look right up real quick and go, oh yeah, that.
So when we talk about like Title I schools, they're typically in poor residential neighborhoods. You're going to see an influx of people of color. They typically get a little bit more financial assistance, but the additional financial assistance that they get is not necessarily sufficient for the services that they need. So, you know, that takes us into that conversation of equality versus equity. So, I mean, so typically there are lower income schools that typically have less like performance ratings.
And you already knew I was going with it. You already knew where I was going with that question. And it's interesting for me because I was a football coach, and the conversations that I had with these teenagers and stuff, it was like I had to literally sit back and tell them, I'm not your homeboy. A lot of the conversations that you're trying to have with me, nah, we're not even in the same age bracket for us to be having a conversation. Secondly, you're not old enough to have this conversation because you don't know exactly what you're doing. Like, and it's interesting that the majority of the schools I coached at were, except for one, were Title I schools. And it's a reoccurring thing, which once we started talking, it made me start thinking about is it running rampant? Is because of the lack of education, because of the lack of parents at home, because they're trying to maintain a household or whatever. So I'm gonna leave it. Go ahead.
I think that Title I schools in and of itself are not as successful as they could be because the people that are operating as educators and as leads and as heads in Title I schools, one, a lot of times don't look like the children that they serve, do not have the experiences of the children that they serve. And so what they typically see is a lot of external behaviors, but they really don't look at the internal motivating factors that cause that behavior. And so really, we put unqualified people with kids, which never breaks that cycle. And so how can you help me when you don't even understand the life that I've had to live?
Yeah.
Is it ignorance or ignorance?
Some of it is ignorance, some of it is privilege, some of it, I think it's a lot of different, factors. But I think a lot of it is people that work in that system don't necessarily, again, I think it goes back to just they don't understand the population that they serve. And so we're doing a lot of trying to fix symptoms, but we never really get to the root cause and the root problem. So we putting out a lot of fires, but never really going in depth of and getting to the things that we really do need to get to. And so I love the work that I do, especially with little kids that look like me. Because a lot of them have been pinged with behavior problems. You got ADHD, you got this, you got this, you got this. When a lot of it is you just don't understand Black pain.
Man, talk to me now. Talk to me.
Yeah. Speak on it. Definitely. Definitely. And even in like the Black community where there are some people that are trying to kill the stigma of therapy and getting assistance. Do you get a lot of pushback from people in those schools of we don't do therapy, Black folks don't do therapy?
Yes. But I will say what I have began to see a shift in is Black people really utilizing and I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna say no. I am going to say that there's a distrust in the system. And so when you're asking me to go to people that don't look like me, that I already know are unsafe, and what you want me to do, because when I grew up, it was like, what happens in this house stays in this house. So don't you dare go out of this house and tell other people what's going on in here, especially if they ain't going to understand. And so what I'm learning, and so the year that everything happened with George Floyd. For Juneteenth, what my practice did is we offered free counseling and case management services for the Black community. And it's not that Black people don't want healing. It's not that it's not a priority, but we don't trust those that are assigned to heal us. There's not a lot of resources and access for Black people that we know about.
Yes, that part. That part.
So it's not that. And then we have to think about, how have we really survived in this society? It's through suppression.
Yeah. Big time.
I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah.
Because that's how Black people survive.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that there is no importance of healing, because I am seeing a complete and total shift of that. The amount of people of color that have called my office is phenomenal.
Yes.
Awesome.
But I've also made it a point to make sure that services really are catered to people of color and they actually get quality service.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the people that don't look like us that serve on my staff, I'm all the way Black in front of them.
Yeah.
Because I need you to understand that you don't necessarily have to look like the person that you serve in order to be efficient and effective.
Yes.
But also don't shoo away their story just because it's not yours.
Exactly.
And so me and my staff, we have candid conversations. And I will never devalue my Blackness, because I don't ever want them to devalue somebody else's story that comes to us for healing.
Definitely.
That's not our role. That's not why I started my business.
I love that. I love that. And I say that even as the people that I have to deal with my son, Black therapists, you be like, where y'all at? Hey, where y'all at? And a lot of people, they do feel when Black people do start to go into, okay, I need a therapist. I need to figure this out. This. We do go into those. We want to find a Black person because we want what's relatable.
Yes.
You know, somebody that can relate to our struggles and what we deal with. So that is something that that you do want. But a lot of times it's like, okay, depending on insurance or just even of knowledge, you're like, where's a good Black therapist? I see it all the time on Facebook. Where's this Black doctor? Where's this Black pediatrician? Where's a good this? Because it's not being put out there. It's like literally trying to find a needle in a haystack and being blind at the same time while trying to find it. It's very rare that you're finding the things that you need. And I tell this story all the time. Even when my son got diagnosed with autism, it was like, okay, he got autism. It was like, what's next? Like, okay, what am I supposed to do? What is this? Like, people don't tend to give you the information, or that information is so scarce. And when I run into other Black parents and they were like, hey, I wasn't trying to be in your conversation, but I heard this, like, where do I go? Where can I find an advocate? Where can I find it? Like, it's hard. And in the Black community, it's making you kind of communicate because you're not going to get it. They just throw you out to the wolves and they're like, figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, it's the resources are just really like hidden in the caves, buried, like somewhere. It's very hard to find the information and the resources to get a lot of the stuff that you need. So it's like when I heard about you and Nika was telling me about you, I was like super excited. Yes, because it's just very, very rare. Like we had a lady that was on before. She was a Black speech language pathologist. You know how often you see them? They like a needle in a haystack. It's very rare that you're finding the Black people with these services that our kids need.
Right.
Yes.
Very rare.
But I think the numbers reflect society. I mean, because think about it. We only make up, 14% of the population? And 9 times out of 10, if you see a Black therapist or Black anything, they'll make up maybe 12 to 10% of that population. So we reflect society. The part about it that is troubling is we are the individuals who need it the most, but we don't have the resources to get it.
And I will say, I think we're doing a better job at being able to spread word about resources for the Black community. And so I know somebody had mentioned super early in this chat about we need like a mental health hotline, and there are some. And so, there are like, melanated mental health therapy for Black girls. Like there are different types of organizations and forums. And so that kind of goes back to social media. We can use social media in a good way. It can connect us to help that we need if we're asking the right questions in the right places.
Definitely.
And so there are resources out there. How we find them, I think we do, again, we've gotten better over time. Yes. But I still think we have a long way to go.
I agree. And I mean, at least we're seeing progress through.
Yeah.
Because conversation I had with one of my coworkers was her child has ADHD. She has her in therapy, this and this. And her mom was, what you got her in therapy for? We don't, Black folks don't do therapy. What we don't, that kind of thing. And I know I've gotten that slack from my mom too. And she looks at what I do for my son and she's like,
think about a person that went to school, paid thousands of dollars to go to school to do that. I heard that from my family too. Black people don't go to therapy. You spend all that money to do what?
But it goes. I think it goes back to what you said earlier. The reason we got that Black people don't go to therapy mindset because when we went to therapy, I wasn't looking in the mirror.
Yeah,
I was looking at something else.
Yeah. Well, and what people did is they took our stories, they took our pains, and they turned it against us too.
Yes, that's why I was going to go to, and that's what I was going to say. That we are being vulnerable and it's being weaponized against us.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's where the fear comes from, especially like the generation prior to us, because that's what was literally happening. It was being weaponized.
Don't get me started on that. I did a presentation last month for Black History Month on mental health in the Black community, and yes.
And see, that is really the root of why I created this podcast and wanted like-minded people on here, because in our community, there's so much that's not discussed. We have so many stigmas on just living and life. And everybody's just like, no, we don't talk mental health. But we need to. It's all these conversations and stuff that don't nobody want to have, or the unknown of things.
Yeah. Well, and I think, it's also that we didn't talk about mental health, but we didn't go to counseling. We went to church.
Look, let's time to log out now.
Look, somebody else in there about to be acting up in a minute.
Yeah, you know how, babe. Okay.
But then also, like if we're gonna talk about everything, we're gonna peel back the onion. You gotta look at. I'm a big history buff because you have to look at the history of Black people and behavior, mental health. When we went to go see folks, we were either locked up, tortured with electroshock, lobotomy. Is it lobotomy or phlebotomy? Whatever. When they removed your brain, stuff like that. So of course, hell, I'm not gonna go there and get that.
Yeah.
And so those are the images that are, like I said before, the generation prior to us had to deal with, and now we're in a generation where they lit. For me, and this is just me talking. So internet, don't cut me off when I say this. they're still doing it, but they're doing it digitally. They're doing a digital lobotomies. They're removing the brain digitally, because every time somebody plugs into social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, the metaverse, whatever, now I feel like they're losing a piece of themselves. They're not, because they're not being true to themselves. They're being true to what they see. And that's causing a lot of people to act out of character. And then the flip side to that is we have a lot of people that are acting in character that are getting made fun of because of the way they're acting. So it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't to me.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I have to agree. Definitely have to agree. Wow. Yeah. Ooh, this conversation, Lord. I'm surprised.
Because you could almost keep going, but I'm like,
So okay, so I know we're about to cut it off. So let me ask you this: if a person well, it's twofold question. The first core question is, how do people outside of Texas get in contact with you and your crew? And then the second question is, if an individual wanted to follow in your footsteps, this probably okay. Let me rephrase that. It's going to be a three-part question. So if an
really
individual follow in your footsteps, what would you say? What route would they need to take, and what advice would you give them?
So the first people outside of Texas to get in contact with me. Now I can always be there to consult and to give appropriate referrals, but I'm only licensed in Texas. And so I definitely don't mind serving as a resource to anybody that really does need connections to mental health organizations or help outside of Texas. And then, just kind of helping people identify, because I also don't think that people really know, like, even if you use your insurance, like you can tell them like, I want a color match. So you call your insurance and you say like, I want somebody of, this particular, because when we get credentialed and all that other kind of stuff, we put in all of those different markers. Oh, wow. And I don't think we understand that we can ask for those things.
And I didn't know that. So that is great information.
Yes. Yes, you can definitely ask for those things. And so that's in and of itself. Ask, let them know that you do have preferences. And so, you don't necessarily have to go and, of course they tell you, get on the website. Nah, I need to know, again, Latino or Asian or Black or whatever the case may be, if you have a preference, male or female, because you can get that specific.
Okay.
To ask your particular insurance provider to give you a list of names based off of your preferences. Am I able to put anything in the chat?
Yes, like, you should be able to on your end. Are you able to click on the comments on the bottom?
If not, we'll make it work.
I was gonna say I don't even see the comments on. I mean, I see the comments, but I don't see where I can click on it. Oh yeah. I ain't gonna take no time. So
yeah, you can put them in the private chat. Okay. Or send them, and we could definitely post, because I was gonna ask you too about the other things that you were talking about, the melanated psychiatrist, all that information. We can have that. We will definitely post that on our Facebook page and everything, because that's another resource. A lot of people look on there, check stuff. We try to have as much information as we can to provide, because we know it's one of those things that's difficult to find, and just learning and to educate. That's what we try to do. We try to educate and have those tough conversations that are not had in the Black community. So anything that's a resource that can help, oh, definitely. Yeah. Got it.
You want me to copy and paste and drop it in there? You already got it.
I'm already working on it, man. Oh. Thank you.
So back to the second question, like, what would somebody need to do to follow in your footsteps, and what advice would you give them?
So the process in and of itself is long. I mean, you need a master's degree to be a licensed counselor. And so of course you would have to go through that process of schooling. But if 4 years in undergrad and 2 to 3, because you need an internship and a master's degree, if that is not your thing, you can still be a mental health advocate. You can be a qualified mental health professional. You can be a life skills therapist. So, I mean, there are a lot of different avenues if you don't necessarily want to go the licensed route. There are different certifications that you can take and that you can do that will kind of get you the status of being in the helping professional or in the mental health field. And so there are a lot of different certifications outside of licensure if going to school for 8 years isn't your thing.
Woo.
Jesus. No.
It's long. It's hard.
Yeah,
it's long.
baby. That's why I say I bow down to you, because I know that this field is not a easy field at all. I know it's not, just with the schooling and everything, and then just taking on when because that you I know you carry some of that baggage when you come home, like just and you know, in your sessions, like you carry that, and you have to be able to push that off of you as well, you know, when after you clocked out. So I mean, I salute you 110%, because I know that's no joke whatsoever.
It's always rewarding. Let me stop lying. I'm over here trying to give y'all the let me stop lying. Can we be real just for a little bit?
All the way.
A little bit. It's hard. It's hard constantly carrying people's stuff.
Yeah.
It is definitely hard carrying people's stuff. But on the flip side of that, I think even the most difficult cases, when I am able to see people have hope after all of the nonsense that they've been through, it makes me wake up and do it again the next day.
Yeah. I love that. So,
man, I don't piss somebody off.
So another question for you. We know one of the things that people struggle with is, I guess you could say, insurance. Some people like, I don't have the insurance, blah, blah, blah. Is there either a program through you where y'all have maybe scholarship, or is there a service that is similar to yours that can be helpful in the Black community?
Yes and no. Because a lot of times, and I think, you know, this was the main reason why I started my own business, because I was able to see that the people who needed help weren't getting quality services. So yes, you can get free therapy services, but a lot of times they're not licensed professionals. You're getting interns and you're getting stuff like that. And so you don't necessarily get the expertise.
Yeah.
Or, you know, because what we also know is a lot of people who look like us that begin counseling, their problems are multifaceted, which means that sometimes they need counseling a little bit longer. And so you may get a great student, but they are still a student. And so after their 2 semesters, they go. And so what we begin to see is, well, you know, throughout my counseling journey, I've had to tell my story to 4 different people. And so I want to say yes, that there are places that people can go for counseling and mental health services. But I will also say a lot of times you're not getting the best in the field.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that was my thing for, you know, again, I feel like we going on like COVID 3.0. Like, I'm like, I don't even know how many years ago it was. But that was my particular reason for doing this, the free mental health for the Black community, because I wanted it to be with qualified professionals.
Yeah.
And that's hard to find.
Very. Because I know even with him, the services he get, they'll tell you that they offer other services for family counseling and that thing, but they also have in this little bitty thin writing on the bottom that then it may be a student in training or so and so and so, and you like, or there's like a lottery, like you can go and they give you this hour between 5 and 7. But if you're not picked by someone between the 5 and 7, then you don't get to see anyone. Yeah. So what does that help? You've wasted time, and everything like that. So what does that leave you? It kind of still leave you kind of assed out. Like
it does.
Yeah,
it does, and sometimes worse than when you started.
Exactly. No, you're just. Yeah, you and I just
it does. And so I mean, what and you know, I firmly believe that my business was not a plan of mine at all. I am not a business owner. I am a good counselor. But business owner, my husband tell me all the time, like, do you know what you're doing? And I'm like, no, fool. I help people. I'm trying to look at QuickBooks. I know my strengths. Okay, that is not my mission. But I will say I have been in a position, and I think it's truly because God knows my heart, that I have been able to offer services for free and still get back what I would have made.
That's what's up.
And I think that if people began to really just do the right thing, they would know that God takes care of all of that other stuff.
Right.
So I have seen it personally in my business, because I have done nothing as far as marketing or anything to grow my business, and it just kind of happened to, word of mouth.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we started in 2019, and we've grown to 7 people since, all during a pandemic. And and so I do think that I have been in a fortunate position to be able to offer the services that I have. And granted, when we started, I was still teaching full time, and so I didn't need a counseling check. I was getting a check, and so it was easier to just offer services to people who needed it.
That's an awesome blessing, especially during the pandemic, because we've seen so many places go under during this time. A lot of restaurants that had been open for ages have closed and everything else. So I think that is amazing. And like you said, a lot of times, if God knows your heart, your true intentions, he will work. He will definitely work it out for you. And
he has. He most definitely has. And so, I mean, we have a fund. We had some amazing people do like some fundraising for us and everything. And so for people who need counseling and cannot afford it, I will never turn anybody away. Because the reason why I got into this field was to help.
Yeah. Wow. I love it. I know through background discussion, I've definitely, just from a lot of the topics that Nika has shared with me that you have, I know we definitely got to have you back, because there's the one on trafficking. We have to have that conversation, because I don't think people realize, especially in San Antonio, how serious trafficking is.
Yeah. It is. I mean, in Texas, we are one of the major cities where it happens the most.
Because it's easy, because y'all like, what, a stone throw away from Mexico?
Yeah. And it is. Very easy. Very easy. And people, going back to technology, be on their phones, not aware of their surroundings, paying attention, don't realize how easy they make themselves a target. So we definitely, that is definitely one we definitely want to schedule with you to definitely have, because I think there's a great importance in that as well.
Well, and I think we also have to be able to understand what, because I think we only think about trafficking in that particular aspect too, is when like somebody is taking you. But parents traffic their children all the time.
Man, hello.
And so, you know, I think we also have to be able to identify, like, trafficking isn't just my child is on the side of the road or somewhere that they're not supposed to be, and somebody kidnaps them and takes them and then sells them. Traffic kids go home every day to their homes every single day.
Oh, wow.
And so I think we also have to be able to look at this definition of trafficking in a wider context.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh. So let's just no, because you made me think. When you make me think, when you inspire me, I get excited.
I hope you ain't inspired to go into a conversation that we not finna go into, because that's gonna be
it's just a random thought. Just a random thought. It could be just a yes or no question. Do you think that a lot of is there a reoccurring effect of the crack era?
More specifically, what do you mean?
Like the effects of how crack impacted the Black community.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to. I know we got to go, but now,
y'all got me invested now.
Well, shoot, you know we can ride this train. We knew you said 9 o'clock, so we was trying to ride.
Because look, we just like
the time. But if you can ride it, we can go on and push it. Because
look, do your thing.
The conversation and just got me I'm all like, look, let me call my insurance and see what I need to do by switching and getting this equestrian therapy for him, because the other folks is taking quite a while.
I honestly didn't know you can do I've been doing this. I've been in mental health field in the Army for 20 years, and it's interesting to hear the stuff that you talk about, because it's not we don't have that option to be like, oh, we want somebody that look like us, and talking to people that I know.
So you do. So I tell all active duty, retired, military, one source is a thing. It is free counseling. You can again ask for specific preferences.
So we've been getting lied to. Okay. Yes. I'm gonna test that theory.
Yes.
Because we've been getting lied to. It's like first come, first serve, whoever. But nah. All right. Too easy.
Yes, you can definitely.
I'm about to retire too, so I'm about to get wild. Woo. They're not gonna like me. But now my question was about the crack era, like because like thinking about it, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about and we're dealing with like now, I feel that it stems from that. And I shouldn't say stems. It's what's the word I'm looking for? In combination with everything we went through as a community is how we get into where we at now, trying to deal with all this trauma. And I mean, it's a good thing that now more than ever we are reaching out for help. But the flip side, and I hate to say it like this, there's still a lot of people who haven't realized that they need that help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because there's some some people are still walking around like ain't nothing wrong with me. It's something wrong with y'all. It ain't nothing wrong with me. Something wrong with y'all. Y'all this and this, and or they'll make fun of individuals who are doing it. And if to me, I think that's their cry for help.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It is. And I mean, I hands down, I know it was I'm gonna sound like a conspiracy theorist, but like that was the government's plan the whole time. I mean, thinking about how it disproportionately affected people that look like us.
Yeah.
Homicide rates doubled, like all of these different things.
Yeah. Yeah. You're definitely.
And what has been done to really rectify the situation? And so, yeah, we're certainly seeing the backwash of that particular era. And until we begin to have candid conversations around it, education really isn't going to take place, nor is change. Because we have to acknowledge and be aware of something in order to change it.
Yeah.
So who has to acknowledge it then? That's the question. That's my question. Because, and this is, hear me out first. This is the thing that irritates me now when it comes to dealing with all the mental health and how it ties into everything that we're talking about. It seems like our community is always reaching out to people that don't look like us for help and assistance, or for them to validate what we're going through, versus us understanding like this is how we really feel and addressing those issues internally versus trying to get validation from somebody externally. And it for me, this is where the whole craze of, if you really look at statistically, social media, Instagram, and all that stuff, we're on it more than any other demographic. However, we don't reap the benefits like other demographics. Like, we're not getting paid like a lot of other demographics. So, that's why I say I feel like we need to internalize our things and lockstep and like, hey, understand we're not going to get the resources and stuff like this, but we got people like you out there that we can reach out to and do our shit on our own.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there are a lot of different reasons why we look for that external validation as opposed to the internal validation, because we want the people, the person, the entity that hurt us to be able to acknowledge that particular thing. Right. And so if my husband slights me, I'm gonna need him to feel that effect. Yeah, it's cool talking to my girls, but until he is able to acknowledge what he's done, that cycle continues. And I think that's why a lot of times we go out for that external validation, so that the people or the things that hurt us can really acknowledge that pain, so it stops happening. And one aspect of it, because I think that is multifaceted too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So one of the things I noticed that came up from you yourself as well as DW is a lot of times people are walking around here thinking they're okay. They don't need therapy. They're fine. What is a way that a person can identify that, no, you're not fine. You need therapy?
Well, that's the question right there. That's a good question, ma'am.
Yeah.
I think first and foremost, we have to be able to know ourselves and know when we change. Because I think that because we are trying so hard to survive and thrive, that we don't even notice the subtle changes in us.
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of the problem too. But I also know that, thinking about, and again, I think it goes back to historically, what we know about the Black community is truly we have to be in crisis before we actually go get help.
Whew. Whew.
And
Like,
so what we do is we go get the help for our crisis situation, but never for some of those foundational problems. And so what are we doing? We're treating symptoms.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, think about the symbols that we have. A lot of people feel like, Black means strong. I have to be stoic.
Mm-hmm.
I have to do these things. I have to bear the weight.
Yeah.
Because my great grandparents, like, they were able to endure slavery. How come I can't go to work today?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So now I seem weak. But again, I think that's the historical framework that we have grown up upon. Like, that's what we've grown up on. You have to just keep moving. You don't have time to feel your feelings. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so again, a lot of us really don't know. I mean, just last year, I almost died. So I was diagnosed with lupus in April, and my heart was failing. I know. I was teaching every day. I was still counseling every day. Couldn't sleep laying down. I had to sleep in my recliner chair, sitting up. And one day I had a fever that wasn't going away, and I was like, I should probably go to the doctor. And they were like, you go to ICU, and I'm like, what? Y'all are so dramatic.
Wait a minute.
And I'm over here telling people they got to recognize their symptoms. And so think about that. I am on a day-to-day basis. My job is to teach people how to understand and acknowledge what's going on inside of them. And I ignored everything that was going on inside of me.
Yeah.
So 10 days later, I'm in a hospital, hooked up to all these machines because my heart is about to fail. We don't really identify what's going on with us because we got to keep moving. Yeah. Somebody needs me.
Yep.
Guilty.
It's so true.
Guilty.
Me too. Very guilty.
Guilty. I know the new year started, and one of the things I said was, I need to find balance. I'm one person doing probably about the job of three. Now, since I said that, I haven't found any balance, and my plate was probably even more overflowing since I said it. And I'm just like, how can I find balance when it's just me? Like, when you are a single mom, trying to find balance is harder than it's hard. It's extremely hard. So it's like, how do you find that? And then when you have them moments where you're sick after you're taking care, being a constant caregiver, and you're sick, you don't get to lay down because you still got to take care of this. Like, you don't get that break whatsoever. And it's like, okay, I just need to basically clone myself. I need to clone myself really by at least twice. I need to clone myself for what I have to do and for what I need and want to do, because what I have to do is that's a two people job. But then, like you say, when you go down, you're like, ooh, hold on. For some of us that don't have those options to leave your child or children with somebody, if something happens to you, it puts you in a whole different mindset of, wait, hold on. Because that's when it get real. When you realize that you don't have nobody, that you are you, and you feel like, you know what? I can't die. That's a whole different realness. That I can't die. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
definitely. I see even comments because we didn't got so caught up in conversation. Boss lady says, so true. I suffered for years until I got help. I didn't even realize I was struggling. That hit, she said, it hit on so many levels. She said this about to be another hour. She ready. Because yeah, I mean, we everybody is on this I'm healing, and a lot of people feel like they can heal themselves.
Mm.
And you,
How do you feel about that? I can heal myself.
I think that it's right and it's wrong, right? Because I feel like I struggle with that too.
Mm-hmm.
You out here healing everybody else. You out here taking care of everybody else. Like, you got you.
Mm.
So how natural is that for us to feel that way?
Mm.
But normal does not necessarily mean healthy.
Ooh.
right. That's what I was about. Oh, see, you keep
Ooh.
stealing my.
Ooh.
And so, I mean, I think that I am, and I'm going to say this as humbly as I possibly can, but I think that I am as good as I am as a counselor because of the stuff that I've gone through. And I'm able to really look at other people and say, I get that. So what I'm not here to do is say that everything that you're experiencing, thinking, feeling, and everything is wrong, but I'm going to ask, is it healthy? Is that how you want to continue to live your life?
But see, that goes back. That goes back to what you said earlier about being lined up with somebody who been through the same thing that you've been through.
Right.
Because if you didn't go through that, you wouldn't be able to say like, is that healthy?
Yeah.
You probably say, well, that's just a coping mechanism, blah 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 and blah 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 blah. And now I got an attitude because basically what you're telling me is I'm faking.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or you've disregarded my entire experience.
Yep. Yep.
You shut down everything that I have just said.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that. And so, I mean, I want to say, naturally, I want to be like, you can't help yourself. That's how I get paid. No, you need me. But like how and I have to be able to look at my clients through the eyes of change. But I also have to look at them through the eyes of their humanity. And for me to sit here and say people can't help themselves, because at the end of the day, I'm going to be honest, people do. That is the journey of counseling. I'm not doing the work. You are.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm facilitating the change.
Yep.
I'm helping you help yourself. But so I think that's like a catch-22, that question. Can people help themselves? All the time? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because that's what I'm teaching people to do.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
My job is to
have to
tell
apply.
people what they need to do, because at the end of the day, people are going to do whatever they want to do anyway.
Yeah.
True. True.
They are going to do whatever they want to do anyways.
Yeah.
So right. Yep.
True. So I'm gonna ask this other question because I know this is something that definitely has come up over the last couple of months with some of the other podcasters that we watch and we support. What do you feel about trauma bonding and that trauma? Look, she automatically starts. She finally
I gotta log off now. I gotta go.
She finally had a smile. That's like, do you think trauma bonding is healthy?
Yes and no. I think that there is help in shared experiences. I think it normalizes other people's experience. And so I don't think it's all bad. Yeah, I don't think it's all bad. Because that's what support groups are for, right? And think about it, that's trauma bonding. We don't call it that because we want people to show up. But that's what that is. People are coming together around the same dysfunction.
Yeah.
Trauma bonding. But again, we don't call it that. We want to reframe it and name it something nice.
Yeah. True that.
But I think what people don't do, because we live in this social media era, and I want to show people how good I am, but we don't realize that people do not connect to us based off of how good we are. People really connect to us, and they're able to get on our level when we talk about our weaknesses and our struggles.
Oh, yes. Definitely.
So we're not we're not really changing people when we really talk about, oh my God, because I'm able to do this and I'm able to do this and I'm able to do this. But when I can say, baby, I've been on that same floor, and I'm just going to tell you that you can get up. That's when we really connect to people. And so trauma bonding is not all bad. It's absolutely not. That's how group therapists make their money.
Yeah. I think it's bad when you get a whole bunch of when you get people together that fight change.
Okay, I was going to say now the flip side of that is you can't just come together and share your trauma and never change.
Right. Or complain about what happened the whole time without trying to figure out, okay, how to heal from that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say I did a mental health presentation just Thursday on trauma identification and response. And one of the participants talked about trauma bonding with her. She was a grown adult and she was trauma bonding with her 8-year-old daughter. Inappropriate. Oh
my God.
So it was like based off of like a sexual assault. Inappropriate. And so again, not all bad, but there are some that is just not good at all.
Yeah.
So I think I think it's hard to say no, and it's hard to say yes, because I think that a lot of people take that out of context.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
And it has to really be further explained. Because just like I said, like, no, I don't think it's all bad. Like, that's what group therapy, that just gave somebody to say, see, I knew I could talk to my kid about, no, I mean, that's not what I'm saying. Because we like to take stuff and spin it that, because it really, really fits our motives. No, that's not what I'm saying. So I definitely think that that's contextual. Like we have to be able to look at the bigger context of it. So, I mean, naturally, just trauma bonding in itself, I think everybody really does it. But staying there, that's when it becomes detrimental. We're just gonna sit around the same table and talk about stuff we don't want to fix.
Ooh. See, that got me.
But the politically correct answer is it's wrong. Don't do it. Pay to see me.
I laughed
at family development. No, I'm just kidding.
One of the comments in one of the comments says she went to the streets for 2 seconds. Oh my God. Yeah, it was like you went there, but sometimes you can't sugarcoat everything.
Yeah. You can't. You
can't. Because some people don't take the sugarcoating. Sometimes
that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, I mean, and I definitely don't want to sit here like I'm the expert and I have all the answers and I don't have no issues. Like, nah, let's have a real conversation. But again, really focus that in on in an effort to create change.
Definitely. Definitely. So lately what I've seen, also social media, you see a lot of the toxic parents post. People again trying to heal from what they feel is generational curses, trauma bonding, the childhood trauma thing. How much can those things hold you back in life if you don't get help?
I mean, significantly. Because traumatized people traumatize. Ooh. Hurt people. And so, I mean, I definitely do think that that's why it's super important to be able to identify trauma for what it actually is. Because again, a lot of people aren't saying that that's trauma. That's just the way that we do it in my family.
Mm-hmm. It's been normalized.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah. So we don't look at it like that.
Woo.
Yep.
And so I pass on the symptoms of trauma survival onto my kids, which then pass it on to their kids, because that's how Mama and Big Mama and Medea and all of them, that's how they dealt with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that definitely has to be how I deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because that's how we dealt with the generational curses.
Well, and I think, we really have to be able, we have to be able to identify, even when change is good, it's a willful, deliberate choice to suffer.
Yep.
Nobody wants to do that. Especially in a society that is focused on our ultimate comfort. And so we're asking people to do hard things.
Yeah.
Very hard things.
Yeah.
Even good change hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, in my opinion, is you see, along with that, you're seeing so much of you being that person, like it's dedicated to like one person breaking generational curses. I personally don't believe that one person can break curses from generations to generations to generations. That is, to me, a whole nother level of adding mental health issues, because that's already heavy on shoulders as it is. When you start going against the grain and start to speak on things that people wanted to keep in the closet somewhere, I think that adds so much on that person that's wanting that healing and that growth for themselves.
Absolutely. I have children, y'all. So one of the biggest things that I have been using lately to talk about generational trauma, if y'all have seen it, is the movie Encanto. My kids sing it all the time.
We don't talk about Bruno.
And so, and because the majority of the work that I do with children and adolescents, and that's all they're singing and all this other kind of stuff, we talk about some of the generational trauma.
I disagree, and this is my thoughts on it. Are you breaking the generational curses for the family, or are you breaking it for yourself? Because if you're breaking it for yourself, you can do it by yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're not and again, this is my opinion, because you're not looking for validation from the family. You're looking to change the impact of everything that is passed on to you and how it relates to your future and your kids' future.
And I will say I am right there with you. I do believe that one person can do it, because it's a domino effect.
Yeah.
You may not be able to see it to completion.
Right.
And I think that's what we're looking for, right? Like, I want to be able to see from start to finish, and you may not be able to do that.
Yeah.
But there is this domino effect that begins to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, like I told this to a friend of mine, because she had she had situations with her sisters, and I told her, I said, when you said what you had to say, what were you expecting? And her response was, I wanted her to be accountable. I said, you cannot expect somebody to be accountable. Only thing you can do is be accountable for yourself. You can't force somebody to accept what happened or whatever. Only thing you can do is accept their reaction and their response and move forward. And I think that's where a lot of folks are getting, to me, again, like I said, this is my opinion, getting frustrated when it comes to trying to break generational curses, trying to make all these changes, trying to heal, is because they're doing this expecting a response or change or accountability from the person that caused it, versus doing it and then cutting it off and changing your direction and your thought process.
I agree. But I also think that that's just part of us being human. And you know, really being able
No doubt.
to see that humanity in us. Like, yeah, you hurt me, and I want you to be able. But I think about what love really is. There is accountability in love.
Ooh.
And so, if I love you, I do want to tell you how you've hurt me. Now, I will have conversations with my client to say, can you love them even if?
Yes.
Ooh.
Because those aren't the conversations that we're really having.
Nope. Not
Tell
at all.
Because you may be planting a seed that will later grow. And so that doesn't mean don't have those conversations and don't let people know how you feel. Because I think it's healthy to advocate for ourselves.
Yes.
But even if, what happens even if? Even if they're never going to be who you need them to be.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm loving that. Because that movie hit me on every level. I could relate to every situation that they put in there. Even far as being, especially with siblings. My siblings and I are dysfunctional as hell. I mean, we put the function in dysfunction. Like, we are dysfunctional. A lot of us are trying to work on those things, because a lot of the dynamic was not our fault. We've had some, hey, I'm 22, I'm your sister. Huh? So we had quite a bit of those. Then we have those that, of course, you know, when you have different parents, you have the same parent, but they are different mothers. That brings a whole nother level of dysfunction, along with the experiences. So a few of us are trying to work on those things. And like with one of my brothers, we had to get to a place of accepting the other person's experience without getting in our feelings. Because when we tried it before, I could have said, hey, this, and it didn't go well. He was in his feelings. He was angry. So that didn't work. But now that we're in a place where we're able to accept each other's experiences, because that's our experience. That's something you can't take away from me. But we have a lot of those tough conversations, and it's a growing situation with us. We are growing and getting into a better place of understanding, because a lot of questions growing up, nobody was answering. They were like being swept up or just under the carpet, or not just being asked, period. So now there's those pieces to the puzzles that are being placed, and it's like, oh, that's why. I just thought you didn't like me. No, that wasn't the case. That wasn't, so in that growing process, of where we are. You know, everybody, a lot of people is in their own space. Some people just want to deal with certain people, and some people just like, nah, I'm gonna stick to how I am. And even in that, you have to respect that. But that movie, yeah, that movie hit me on all levels because I could definitely relate on all levels. Definitely,
Yeah.
yeah. Because sometimes a lot of us is a lot of things to a lot of people. Even if that ain't the hat that you wanted, that hat got put on your head.
I still ain't seen that crazy ass movie.
Why gotta be a crazy movie? It's a really good movie. It, like I said,
You got grown men singing a damn song. That's a crazy ass movie. I got people at work singing a song. I'm like, what are you singing? You haven't seen it? No, I haven't seen it.
okay. Do they have kids?
Okay, I understand. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that because they kids is watching it. You know, anytime you have a kid and something is popular, that gonna be on your head. Like that gonna you ain't even thinking about it, and you just started singing.
Burly men in there singing songs. I'm like, okay, what was in your Fruit Loops?
I haven't either. But okay.
You know how many times people was walking around here singing Baby Shark and not realizing they was really singing Baby Shark, but that's all you heard was Baby Shark? Like,
so I'm gonna pivot real quick because something y'all made me think of something. Like,
okay, well, this gonna be your last question.
His last thought.
It wasn't even a question. It was a observation and a thought.
Okay, they're gonna be your outro.
Listening to everything that we're talking about, it makes sense for me to why we are as a culture so addicted to social media and gaming and stuff like that as an outlet, because the song Nas got a song called Project Window, and the chorus saying, looking out of my project window, I feel so inspired. A lot of people in situations where they're struggling, that's their project window, because when they look out in reality, it's a bunch of nasty, filthy, hurtful stuff. But when they look in social media, it paints a picture that everything's all right, everything's cool, everything's this and that. So they don't have to deal with, that's their way of coping with everything that's going on in their environment. And that just popped in my head. And I said, now that song makes a lot of sense because of that.
It's an escape.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, most definite.
And so that's my outro.
Okay, boom, that is.
We know you like a deacon and a Baptist preacher on Sundays.
I ain't preached today. I ain't.
You ain't even sung a song today, so this is record breaking.
No, because I was talking. We were talking. We was spitting it. Pip. She was spitting. I was spitting. You was spitting. Everybody was spitting. So I ain't have to sing. Now I can. Wrote a song about it. Want to hear it? Here it go.
No, we good.
No.
We good. So yeah, we gonna call that one your outro. Pinks, you want to go and do your outro?
Yes, I just mainly want to give thanks to you for being here. I am just thrilled to have this opportunity for you to come on and talk to us and share some knowledge. And I just like to say too, I'm not putting all my business out there, but I am so proud of what your business, Hope Development, is doing for my kids, and especially my oldest, because she's only been with you guys like 6 months or so, and I've already seen the change. And I feel more confident sending her off to college to know that mentally she's going to be in a better space than before we started counseling. Like, her counselor is her best friend. She's like, Mom, can I invite her to my graduation? I like her. I'm like, what? You do? Like, for me to have her so open and want to share, experiences with her counselor, that was a lot. Like, she didn't even want to do her acceptance letter when she opened to find out she was going to college with me. She's like, I'm waiting on my counselor. I'm like, girl, if you don't open this, like, how you just going, so I'm just saying, I am so thankful for you. And I know that your program works and being relatable. And I just thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm done. I ain't gonna get like
I
DA.
thought you was
I
going to
got one
start
more
saying
thing. Like
a tier or two.
I got one more thing. Y'all know,
No,
I'm about to
no,
say
Bring it
that.
in.
no,
I thought,
no, no, no,
no, I was
no.
gonna say she's officially a citizen.
I know we got people are saying that to please bring you back,
Bring her
ma'am.
back, yeah. A repeat.
Yes, yes. So, Latasha, you want to do an outro? Tell them how they. Of course, we posted the information. We will repost it also on the our actual page on Facebook. But any information that you just like to tell people.
You are worth loving yourself.
Oh,
I think we spend a lot of time and a lot of energy loving other people, but we
mm,
love other people from our deficit and not our overflow.
mm,
And so to go out, you are worthy of the love that you give other people. And
mm,
so understanding that taking time to really invest in you is not selfish, it's self-love. And so if I have said nothing else today that has resonated with you, I hope that
mm,
everybody listening from this moment forward will take the opportunities to truly get to know themselves, love themselves, and live for themselves a little bit better. And to all of y'all, I appreciated the time and the space that we shared today and the conversations that we've had. To those that have participated in the chat and everything, I appreciate y'all taking the time to kind of listen to me and the conversations that we've had tonight.
Drop the
mm.
mic. Boom.
Man, straight mic drop, like for
Yeah.
real. First,
Just go get that.
I'ma definitely say thank you again for coming on. We have greatly enjoyed you. Oh my God. First question, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna need a seat on your couch. Um, I'm not naive to the shit in my life at all. Definitely. But again, we thank you. And if anybody knows that y'all been watching us, we are coming up on a year, and we are very transparent with where we are with our mental health, our growth and development, and even providing that platform for you to speak on your situations, to give resources and so on. So we will continue to do that because this is a conversation that definitely needs to be discussed. And this conversation was awesome and amazing. I know I even seen one of the comments earlier where somebody basically was just like, "Oh yeah, this is that conversation that needed to be had. That this is that conversation." And the conversation was, where was his comment? The conversation is very edifying. Many young parents need to be in tune with this. So definitely know that we are definitely reaching different people and just bringing that to the platform. So we definitely appreciate y'all that watch, that communicate, tune in, follow, share, like, share, subscribe, everything, because we even try to put out more content now during the week to be more engaging with everyone. So we definitely thank y'all for tuning in. We will be bringing her back, definitely, because yes, we're trying to go there. We all see she will go there with no hesitation. But I love everything that you are doing, your business is doing, to open that door and to definitely kill the stigma, because that stigma is something that definitely it needs to go somewhere. And even to hear that someone as Nika, the kids are growing and getting something from it. So that is, awesome, because people bring people on and ain't did nothing and don't have no nothing, just out there. People are hoop and holler just for a person, but not, having taken any benefit, gotten any benefit from services. So that is a blessing in itself. But next week, y'all, we are talking about what is that topic? Lord, hold on, let me go back because I rearranged it. Next week is the untold Black truths of life.
Okay.
Whew. Yeah, yeah, that part. So of course, there's a video. I'll definitely be posting it on the Facebook page because that one is going. Y'all thought this was serious. We're gonna be taking it. It's gonna be going into touching bases with some of this situation here and taking it, them things that your mama and your daddy never told you in life, and then when it happened to you, it hit you like a brick wall. It was like you running into that glass, sliding glass door, and then you didn't see it there. Cause them things. And we know in life, we done ran into some brick walls, some sliding glass doors, and everything in life because it was some stuff that we wasn't told or was sugarcoated. So we'll definitely have those discussions and stuff next week. Latasha, we ask that you stay on while we close out, and we thank y'all for tuning in. And until next week, same bad time, same bad channel. And we out.
Deuces.